Welcome to the Fan Perspective. My name is Nathan Lyle. I will be your host today for this week look back on Week 6 in the NFL. And first, let me say that I'm usually not the type to take risk. I usually go with the safe pick, and the safe bet is usually always to go against the Browns. But they are a franchise on the rise, and they've drafted some talented young players like Joe Haden and Trent Richardson, and could eventually find themselves being a 10-win team and even getting into playoffs in 3 to 5 years. Now, that being said, there is some breaking news. First is that the Browns are planning to replace Mike Holmgren as the GM, and I'm not saying good or bad on this yet. I mean, it might be the right time to do it. I don't think he's necessarily done a bad job. They've gotten some good pieces in there, and they didn't have a lot to work with to begin with. I think they've got a solid foundation in place that they can build on this and eventually become a great team. But they're not there yet, and I can understand them losing patience and wanting someone new to maybe push them over the top. But, like I said, I'm not saying yay or nay on this yet. I think they've done a pretty decent job so far with what's happened. But the new ownership doesn't seem to think that Mike Holmgren is the right fit. That's their decision to make. And also, breaking news, Andy Reid fires Juan Castillo, the defensive coordinator. And I'm not saying it was the wrong move, but it's not really going to save their season. I don't think it's really going to change the course of things yet. Now, Juan Castillo, in case you didn't know, he had no defensive experience. He was an offensive coach before they moved him before he suddenly got promoted to defense, to defensive coordinator, and many people questioned that move when it happened. But the Eagles had I'd say about a middle of the pack defense. They have the talent to be much better, but the defense is not the biggest concern. I mean, honestly, if you take away all of Michael Vick's turnovers, the Eagles are probably undefeated at this point in the season. Now, that being said, Andy Reid did say that this was just the first move, so there could be more to come, and I think it will help. This defense, it has a lot of potential, and they could do so much better than what they have done so far. And they're going into a bye week, so they planned this. They planned this so that they have time to put the new guy in, start working the system before just getting thrown out into the middle of action. But still, it's not the biggest shakeup ever in the league. And moving on with the rest of the show, despite playing their worst game of the season, the Falcons still managed to get a win. However, it helped that they were facing the Raiders. And that doesn't change the fact that they're still undefeated on the season, headed into the bye week. And this is a very scary team right now, just like I thought they would be. I expected them to easily dominate the division and get into the playoffs. I don't think 16-0 is a possibility. I'd say maybe 13-3 to finish the season, but they are playing very strong football right now. And then the Cowboys, they played pretty much their best game of the season. Dez Bryant had a career-high 13 receptions. Demarco Murray and Felix Jones both had over 90 rushing yards. Each of those players had over 90 rushing yards. Over 200 total rushing yards for the team. But in the end, Dallas, they didn't win. They lost by 2 points, and they could have won if Dez Bryant hadn't dropped the two-point conversion in the end zone. It was a wide-open pass, and it just went through his hands. And, maybe if they had done a better job of clock management at the very tail end of the game, they wouldn't have had to try a 51-yard field goal. Maybe it would have been like a 46 or a 33, and it might not have hooked left. Anyways, this is a team that definitely looks like they've gotten better. They use the bye week to fix themselves. However, let's also point out that, even though they were playing the Ravens, this is a defense that's been on the decline. Terrell Suggs, injured during the offseason, has yet to play this year. And during this game, Haloti Ngatta went down with an injury. Then Laderius Webb went down with an injury. And then Ray Lewis went down with an injury. And it was after those players got pulled out of the game that Dallas was finally able to start fighting back. And they still weren't able to do enough to win. And I mentioned in my last video predicting the games that I like picking teams coming off of byes. I should have done that because Detroit beat Philadelphia by a field goal in overtime. And Philadelphia started the year off getting some big wins despite how much they were turning it over. And I figured that at this point in the season, their offense would have started protecting the ball more. That hasn't happened yet, but the bye week has come at a great time, and as I said earlier, they're probably going to start fixing some things too. The Jets actually managed to win a game, and I feel I need to direct you once again to another previous video that I had, where after Darrelle Revis and Santonio Holmes went down, I stated that the Jets' season looked like it was over unless Sean Green suddenly turned into LaDainian Tomlinson. And on Sunday, Sean Green had a career-high 161 rushing yards and found the end zone 3 times. Just saying. I also had Houston and San Francisco to beat New York and Green Bay because they had strong defenses and solid running games. But the Giants and Packers both came out firing on all cylinders. Their offenses were just could not be stopped. And they created they got a lead early on, and they protected that lead. The Texans and 49ers, they're good teams, but their offenses are built to pound it out and protect the lead, and their QBs become relatively useless when trying to fight back from a deficit. And the one game that had me saying, what the fuck, was the Seahawks coming back from a double-digit deficit to defeat the Patriots by 1 point. Now, the Patriots have always been a good team in the class of the division, and it's not because of their defense. So I'm not shocked that the defense would give up so many points. I'm shocked that the Seahawks defense, though, played so well that they held down the Patriots offense. Though, however, let's point out the fact that the Patriots going into this week had 13 players on their injury report. They're struggling right now to start the season, but I think once they get healthy and start getting things down, coming out of their bye week and going into the second half of the season, they're gonna get back on track. They're gonna get into the playoffs and start tearing it up just like always. But still, the Seahawks have been playing better football than what I originally predicted. I don't think that's going to last forever, though. And Monday Night Football, well, I saw it coming, though not quite like this. The Chargers went into halftime with a 24-0 lead, and then Peyton Manning did what Peyton Manning does. The Broncos won 35-24. And it wasn't all Peyton. The defense caused plenty of turnovers and took 2 of them back for touchdowns. But Peyton definitely adds a spark to this team and brings that veteran leadership. And I was unsure about this division going into the start of the season because every team looked scary. But the Raiders are proving that they're still the Raiders. The Chiefs are extremely disappointing so far. The Chargers are a middle-of-the-pack team right now. They're only beating teams with sub-500 records. So with this win, the Broncos established themselves as the class of the division, and it proves that Peyton Manning is back, y'all. And then there are some major injuries happening this week. Brandon Lloyd hurt his shoulder diving for the catch. It's unsure if he'll actually miss any time, though. Kevin Cobb was hurt, and it looks like the QB carousel might continue in Arizona. However, it seems as if at this point in time, Cobb is probably going to be able to still start next week. Trent Richardson has a rib cartilage injury. It doesn't look like he'll miss any time right now, though, but it's worth monitoring his progress. Demarco Murray suffered ligament damage in his left foot. He will not require season-ending surgery, but he has already been ruled out for Week 7 against the Panthers. And for the Ravens, they won the game, but it came at a cost. Laderius Webb is out for the year with a torn ACL. Ray Lewis is out for the year with a complete tricep tear. And Haloti Ngatta also tore his MCL. However, he does say he plans to play through it. And the Ravens offense definitely has their work cut out for them, because the Ravens defense has been on the decline recently anyways. They're giving up so many yards, but they're stingy on the goal line. They don't allow a lot of touchdowns. They cause a lot of turnovers. However, missing Laderius Webb, looking at some of the matchups they've got coming forward, they're definitely going to be a little weaker. And having that leadership of Ray Lewis, that just kind of I think you're gonna feel the effect out there on the field. If Haloti can still play at his level, and if Ed Reed can still do his thing, this is still a good enough defense that that the offense, if it's high powered and can score 30 points a game, they'll still be winning 12 games of this season. But more than that, there are some long-term implications for the Ravens. There had already been indications that Ray Lewis was considering retirement. But he is one of the greatest players that the league has ever seen, and he already defied the odds by playing in this season, which would be number 17 for him. And it is my greatest hope that he continues defying the odds for another 6 years. How awesome would it be if Ray Lewis's final season in the league was his son's rookie season? I know it seems unlikely, but I want that shit to happen. Anyways, a lot of people are calling this upset weekend, and I know I'm definitely upset. My record is only 5-9 after this week. However, overall, I'm still 54-38. And for the Thursday game, we have the Seahawks at the 49ers, which is very hard to predict. These teams are both 4-2, with two of the best defenses in the league, and if they were playing in Seattle, I would probably go with them. But I have to go with the 49ers because Russell Wilson plays very inconsistent. And when the 49ers lose, it's because they can't fight back from a deficit. And I don't think Seattle will be able to grab a huge lead against this 49ers team. I don't think they're going to be able to I don't think they're going to be able to get like a 20-30 point lead against the 49ers, keep it too far out of control. I think if the 49ers get a 10-point lead, they'll probably be able to hold on to it. So yeah, I'm going with the 49ers to win this game. So tune in Friday and Saturday for my Week 7 predictions. This has been The Fan Perspective. I'm your host, Nathan Lyle. Have a happy Tuesday.